What I'm struck by first off is the quietness, actually, because you come in here and you realise that once upon a time, probably not that long ago, this would have been the scene of quite frenzied, noisy activity. Guys in uniform sliding down poles, rushing towards engines, and Le Dray has really gone right against all that and created something completely other. And there's also a huge sense of expectancy. They seem to be waiting for something. Waiting for the owners? We don't know. But certainly waiting.
Mark had seen the fire sign outside.
And we love old buildings,
Yeah.
so immediately we thought, oh, it'd be nice. And then Caroline saw the advert on the doors, came in here, and this is just
I think it's
amazing.
remarkable. I think
Absolutely.
the building is remarkable, but I think the attention to detail.
I've never seen anything like this. Why would you want to make it look as though it's just been frozen for a long time? It's like a memory, isn't it? It's a memory. It's a childhood memory. That's what it is.
There's an element of why about it, but it's coming over to me as very sort of dead men's clothes, I think. It's a very instant reaction, but they all look very lived in, apart from the tailor's dummy there. It looks like something is sort of speaking about all the time and effort that has gone into the making of clothes, even though so many don't appeal to oneself. It is very sad seeing all these used things.
The ceiling, the floor are all part of the piece, making a complete space that you can be a kind of giant looking at. It takes a lot of thinking about, because it reflects back on yourself. Because it's not a one-liner, is it? This is a fairly subtle, in-depth look at kind of commercialisation of clothes, isn't it?
It's very serious. It's not a trivial piece of work at all. The dust, which you as a human being can see just below eye level, I don't know, kind of deframes it in a way. It looks like kind of a laundry that's the Mary Celeste of laundries. But it also says something about recycling of clothes. The word rag trade doesn't come from making clothes. It comes from recycling clothes, which has been going on in Europe since the 11th, 12th century. It's how Milan made all its money, and it still goes on, in the shipping of clothes to Africa, for example. I think there's going to be a lot more of that in the next 20 or 30 years, as people don't have fuel to move things around in the way we did. I'm all for it myself.
Well, we've been here probably longer than anybody, about 35 years this year. Pretty established in London in that sense, and we sort of believe in this street as a interesting type of specialist street. We sell the sort of better end of menswear with a twist on the classic sort of look for people like clothes that are just a bit interesting and not too staid, not too formal. And we're not high fashion, but we are fashionable.
I learned this job in Pakistan when I was 10 years old. I just start from stitching, and then stitching by machine, stitching by hand, and ironing. Shorten from the top of shoulder, shorten collar, shorten the sleeves, shorten the length of jacket. 9 hours a day, 54 hours a week.
The English, they are more casual. Well, when I say casual, they don't bother so much to dress. But in Italy, or the Italian, I don't know if it's the culture or it's a personal, they want to dress smart. Matching shoes with a belt, or if you're wearing a suit, you have to be a matching tie, you must have match with the socks, they say. You know, the colours, so everything makes look more elegant.
Well, some people walk in and walk out because they just find it too claustrophobic. There's too much here. Other people just love places like this because they like to rummage and spend time. I've been here 14, 15 years. I couldn't tell you what's going to sell tomorrow. I get 16-year-old boys, I get 75-year-old men. I get everybody and everybody. There's no one type of person that comes into my shop. Well, I think he was just really paying attention to detail, really, and all the different fabrics. But I have to say, it wasn't what I was expecting. Well, I wasn't expecting it to be 3 sort of still lifes of miniature clothes and everything. I thought it was going to be something completely different.
I was impressed by what he did, and the little ties like this, and the little shirts and little. But what's it all about? I don't know. He's an artist. There must be an artist to do these things. Crazy or not crazy, be an art. He's an artist, but he should explain to us. The people go in and say, "Look, I did this because," but he didn't.
That was absolutely mind-blasting. I swear, I've never seen that kind of stuff. You know, especially the jackets with the shirts, yeah? How he fixed the shoulder, how he fixed the collar, how he cut it. That was absolutely amazing, you know. That's very hard to fix that.
I don't think he was trying to create a fashion story. I think he was trying to show a story of sort of shops and the fashion industry in its different states. I think he just was creating a piece of visual art without trying to impress anybody, his views on anything in particular. Didn't strike me that way. But the look was correct. I mean, he got it right. Definitely.
I think there is part of him that is fascinated by clothes and apparel and the human need for such things. But I think there may well be another part of him, the more rebellious, the more bohemian side, perhaps, that is saying, actually, we just kind of clobber ourselves with all this stuff. And why do we need to be so sort of rigid and costumed? Why don't we just get down to who we really are? We live in an age of exhibitions full of explanations, full of captions on the walls, telling us, especially in museums, everything we need to know, or they think we need to know, about the art. Actually, we need to make up our own minds. We need to get to know the piece and have a silent interaction with it. And so it's very refreshing to come in here and to realise that Le Dray has no truck with that kind of thing at all. And he's leaving the installation to speak for itself.
I think we over-intellectualise art, and especially reading the brochure to this. There's one sentence in it that just made me laugh. It's so preposterous. And I just like the idea that people just come up with cool little ideas and then just go to extremes to finish them off. You know, you've got to have a certain left field mind to do something like this. The sort of bloody mindedness almost, to go to that effort. And this is basically a very bloody minded thing, but it's wonderfully optimistic and sort of uplifting.
It links up with, of course, some of the oldest genres in Western art, because it's a still life, in a way, this whole installation, and still life painting in particular is very often linked with the whole notion of what was once called vanitas, which is to do with the fact that everything finally goes, you will die, your stuff will disappear. Nothing is permanent.